can we have a huge round of applause for Ricardo Salinas?
Thank you. In there? All right. Jesus, thank you. Hey guys. So, why is a family picture up there? I want to share a little story because, you know, I'm introduced here as the third richest man in Mexico. I'm on some billionaire list. Who cares? The point is, it was not always like this. I want to share a little bit about what happened to me and the family in the years and how we got here, and maybe you have some take-home value. So the guy in the middle is my grandfather. He was born in 1906. My dad was born in 1932. I was born in 55. What does it matter? It matters because we've been victims of the fiat fraud for the whole century. You know? So maybe you can learn something from this stuff. All right? Now, who's that? Zapata, you know? This is a hero. Zapata. Well, one of the things that happened during the time of my grandfather was that the Mexican peso turned to shit. And those pieces of paper that you have there, we call them in Mexico bilimbiques, which means worthless pieces of paper. And every revolutionary general that came into power printed his own. So it was a big mess in Mexico until 1925, and we made the Central Bank of Mexico. Now, during the 70s and the 60s and 70s, my dad became a gold bug. So we come from that strain of thinking, the original gold bugs. And actually, my dad spent a big part of his life promoting the silver coin as a way for people who don't have access to financial institutions to actually be able to save something. And here's my dad, a bit older now. He's 90 years old, still in good health. But when I came to work at my dad's company, that was in 1980, he had been working at that company for 30 years, making radio and television, had the stores. And he had taken out a loan of $9 million to grow the company. What happened was we had a huge devaluation, and the peso went from 24 to almost 3,000 to 1. Of course, our company went broke. We went to Chapter 11, and we had to get rid of a lot of people. I got to work there. But that's me, handsome young guy, eh? I was making $2,000 in 1980, and a few years later, I was making 20 bucks. The same salary was down from 2,000 to 20 bucks. So I know about hyperinflation. I've been there. And it's not the same to know it in theory as to actually be a victim of it. Now, the bad news is that the US and Japan and the UK and the Euro bloc, they're going exactly the same route as my country went in the 80s. It's exactly copy-paste. You could just change the numbers, but the graph would be the same. Take debt. It's horrific, 36 trillion, and this is on the books debt, not counting the off-the-books stuff. The assets of the Federal Reserve, I love this description, you know. So the Federal Reserve has a lot of assets. That must be great, wasn't it? And they're buying bonds. That must be great. Well, actually what they're doing is making fake money out of thin air and loaning it out to create purchasing power. To the tune of, we're now $9 trillion of fake savings on made by the Federal Reserve. And this is up from the pandemic times from 4 trillion up to 9 trillion. But if you go a little bit back to 2005, it was 0.8 trillion. So the creation of fake credit, which equals purchasing power, has been astounding. The problem is because the dollar is the reserve currency of the world, you can't do anything about it. You can't go out of the dollar unless you go to Bitcoin. But it's going to happen, you know, there's no way that people are going to be expropriated like that. And these are the guys. These are the guys. Eh? And you gotta say it, you know, the fat guy there, I know him, he's a Mexican. His name is Carstens, and he runs the Bank for International Settlements. And you know that thing over there on the right side? Christine Lagarde? She runs the Euro Central Bank. And, oh, you know the one on the left here, right? She's your own creation. She ran the Fed before, but now she runs the Treasury. It's the same thing. And this fiat religion has its high priced, and you can see them right there. And their religion is not tolerant. They hate anybody who's a heretic. There are lots of heretics in this room now. Lots of heretics, and that's good. And you know what the next trick they have up their sleeve, these people? It's called a very nice acronym, CBDC. Central Bank Digital Currency. That's even worse than the dollar. It's much worse than the dollar because if the CBDC is issued, these people will have full control over how you can spend your money. How? For example, oh, smoking is really bad. I like cigars. No. CBDC currency would not be good for a cigar. Of course, partying after 2 a.m., no, forbidden. No money after 2 a.m. Whatever. They think it's a bad idea. They close your capacity to spend your money. Furthermore, they will be tracking 100% of all your spending and what you spent and how you spent it. They're pretty devilish people, eh? And you know, it's not that they are ignorant. These people are very smart and highly educated. And the devil over here on the right side, she was at the IMF before. And there's papers, you can look for them on the IMF website, where they say the way to deal with government debt is through inflation. We will liquefy the debt and get away with paying less. So there you are. But is this the future you want? You are here, $2,000. You're going there, $20 a month of salary. And as I said before, I mean, young people, you can get over it because you always get a good job. You can get another job. You can move. There's always a future for young people. But for older people, people who are looking forward to living from their savings and from their pension money, they're going to be wiped out. And this is very, very unfortunate. Also, the poorest people, the people who don't have assets, don't have home, don't have cars, don't have stocks, they'll just have the money in the pocket. They're going to be wiped out. And it's not nice. It's not something that you would wish on somebody. But I can tell you, I have been there and I have done that, and it's going to come. It's not a pretty sight. So what can we do? We can buy Bitcoin and sell those shit coins that we have there. Yeah. And definitely, no to fiat fraud. This thing is literally useless. I mean, it's not even good for toilet paper. It would do a bad job. Guys, I don't want to sound too alarmist, but this has happened. It just didn't happen to the US. It doesn't mean it can't happen to a civilized country. Germany was a highly civilized country until it got hit by the inflation in Weimar. So does this mean that Germany is the same as Zimbabwe, who had the same inflation? No, they're not the same. But it can go through the same process. And unfortunately, in the US, it's curtains. This is the way to save your skin. Buy Bitcoin, sell shitcoin. Thank you, guys.